watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Gloria, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, Iran, world powers reach framework on nuclear deal, so they say. And in Kenya, 147 killed by Al-Shabaab, Islamic Muslim terrorist attack on university. And in Yemen, over 500 dead fighting, 10 million in need of food. And UN peacekeepers used excessive force in killing Mali protesters. And Indiana and Arkansas enact religious freedom revision after outcry from progressive liberals. New York, 2 women accused of bomb plot in FBI sting, and U.S. citizen with Al-Qaeda links flown secretly to New York. And Germanwings co-pilot researched suicide and cockpit doors before crash. And Johns Hopkins sued for $1 billion over Guatemala STD study. And Philadelphia airport workers strike over pay, and McDonald's workers call pay hike inadequate. And Duke University student admits hanging noose from a tree. A New York Boy Scouts affiliate hires openly gay adult defying ban. And in Alabama, prisoner freed after nearly 30 years on death row. And Mamia Abu Jamal returns to prison after hospitalization. GVTV News is broadcast on Grass Valley Television, division of Rural Counties Television Network, whose focus is on community involvement. We also air on NCTV. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. In today's first world news story, after 8 days of talks in Switzerland, Iran and world powers have reached a framework agreement on curbing Iran's nuclear program for at least a decade, so they say. In return for United States and Europe plans to lift economic sanctions on Iran as part of the deal, Iran must reduce the number of its centrifuges that can be used to enrich uranium into a bomb by more than 2/3. It also has to redesign the power plant so it cannot produce weapons-grade plutonium and be subject to regular international nuclear inspections once they warn them ahead of time. The parties must now reach a final agreement by June 30th. President Obama said the deal was a good one. And he says, "Remember, I have always insisted that I do what is necessary to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon, and I will, and I also know that a diplomatic solution is the best way to get this done." Israel has condemned the deal, while Republican lawmakers are demanding the right to review it. We'll see. In Kenya, officials say 147 people, mainly students, were killed when Al-Shabaab militants, Islamic Muslim terrorists, stormed a university in Garissa, making it the worst attack in Kenyan soil since 1998 bombing at the U.S. Embassy. Gunmen reportedly went through the university dorms, separating Muslims and Christians and killing the Christians. The siege lasted 15 hours before security forces killed 4 militants. The Yemeni Houthi rebels have reportedly retreated from the former palace of President Abd Rabu Mansour Hadi as his former stronghold in Aden. The rebels seized the palace Thursday by retreating after Saudi-led airstrikes. Fierce fighting in Aden comes as the British Red Cross warns of a catastrophic humanitarian situation in Yemen with more than 10 million people in need of food, according to the United Nations. The violence has killed more than 500 people in the past 2 weeks, 90 of them children. United Nations has acknowledged its peacekeepers used unauthorized and excessive force when they opened fire on protesters in northern Mali in January. A UN probe found 4 UN police shot and killed 3 civilians and injured 4 others in the town of Gao. The peacekeepers will be returned to Rwanda, where they are from. And the governors of Indiana and Arkansas have signed a revision to to so-called religious freedom measures, which would have allowed businesses to discriminate against LGBT people, so they say. Indiana's law provoked a national outcry, while celebrities, top corporations, cities, and state governments condemning the boycotting the state. Lots of progressive liberals out there on that. Flanked by business leaders, Indiana Governor Mike Pence signed a revision specifying the law does not authorize anti-LGBT discrimination. Ellie Lilly, executive of the Indianapolis mayor, Bart Peterson, liked the change and said, for the first time, the words sexual orientation and gender identity appears in Indiana statutes, and that they will be laws passed in the context of non-discrimination. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson signed a similar updated bill Thursday after he balked at signing an unrevised version following condemnation from Walmart. The outcry in Indiana, email from his son saying he would sign a petition against the bill. In a statement, the ACLU said, the events in Indiana over the last week represent a dramatic change in the way our country reacts to discrimination hiding under the guise of religion. Of course, discriminating religion isn't discussed here, is it? In Queens, New York, 2 women accused of amassing materials and build a bomb have been arrested in an FBI sting. Noel Valenzuela and Asaya Siddiqui, both U.S. citizens, are accused of sympathizing with al-Qaeda and the self-proclaimed Islamic State. Undercover agent appeared to play a key role in the sting, downloading information about explosive and shopping with them for bomb components. U.S. citizen, once seen as top al-Qaeda member under consideration for the U.S. kill list, has been secretly flown to New York after being detained in Pakistan. Mahmoud al-Fariq was recommended for kill list in Pentagon before the Obama administration balked at killing another U.S. citizen. German prosecutors say the co-pilot accused of deliberately crashing the Germanwings plane in French Alps, killing all 150 people on board, had researched suicide in cockpit doors in the days before the crash. Prosecutor Christoph Kumpa unveiled the findings and said, according to the results, the user informed himself about medical treatments as well as different kinds of implementation of suicide. On at least one day, he had researched several minutes about cockpit doors and their safety precautions. Data from the newly recovered black box appears to show Andreas Libetz intentionally sped up the plane's descent after locking the plane's captain out of the cockpit. Nearly 800 former Guatemalan research subjects and relatives have sued Johns Hopkins University for its alleged role in the U.S. government program which deliberately infected hundreds of people with syphilis and other sexual transmitted disease in the 40s and 50s. In Guatemala, the $1 billion lawsuit filed in Maryland court accused Johns Hopkins and the Rockefeller Foundation of helping design, support, and encourage and finance the non-consensual tests. And at Philadelphia International Airport, baggage handlers, cleaners, and other workers went on strike Thursday to demand higher pay and benefits. Workers who are paid as little as $7.25 an hour want the airport to comply with the higher wage requirement for city-owned facilities. And McDonald's workers rallied in dozens of cities, from New York City to Los Angeles, calling for an expansion of McDonald's plan to raise pay to at least $1 above the local minimum wage. Some 90% of McDonald's workers are excluded since the hike does not apply to franchises. And officials at Duke University in North Carolina say the student that left campus after admitting to hanging a noose from a tree. Duke says the student will be subject to the school disciplinary procedures. The noose was discovered Wednesday, days after another incident where a black female student said a group of white male peers harassed her using the same racist chant that prompted the expulsion of fraternity members at the University of Oklahoma. And the New York affiliate of the Boy Scouts of America has announced the hiring of an openly gay Eagle Scout, defying the national organization's ban on LGBT adult employees or members. Pascal Tessier will work at a scout camp this summer. Last year, the Boy Scouts lifted a ban on LGBT scouts, but not on adult leaders. In Alabama, a prisoner who spent nearly 30 years on death row is being released. Anthony Ray Hinton was accused of murdering 2 fast food managers in 1985, but subsequent tests found bullets at the scene could not be matched to the gun he was accused of using. According to Equal Justice Initiative, which won his release, Hinton is among the longest-serving death row prisoners ever to be freed after presenting evidence of innocence. And imprisoned journalist and former Black Panther and cop killer Mumia Abu Jamal, has been transferred back to prison after he was taken into an intensive care unit in Skull Hill Medical Center in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, following a blackout from a diabetic shock. Abu Jamal's supporters said he was kept under heavy guard and isolated from visitors at the hospital following an international outcry. Close relatives, including his brother Keith Cook, were allowed to visit. He killed a cop and is serving his sentence. And that's it for World News today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. That's right, it's time for the police blotter. Pictures in the blotter not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. These public records are obtained from daily logs issued from Nevada County law enforcement. Grass Valley Police Department on Wednesday, 7:47 a.m., a caller from 300 block of Railroad Avenue reported a man assaulted a woman. And 12:33 p.m., a caller from 700 block of South Auburn Street reported vandalism. And 12:55 p.m., a caller from 800 block of East Main Street reported 3 boys taking pallets apart and using them as weapons. They were gone when an officer arrived. And 1:14 p.m., a caller reported a city employee violating crosswalk laws. 2:48 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Sierra College Drive reported a vehicle parked in a handicap space without a handicap identification. Courtesy warning was issued. At 9:04 p.m., a caller from 100 block of Neal Street reported a man stole a bag of jerky. 9:51 p.m., a caller from 100 block of West McKnight Way reported a person stole Gorilla Glue and fishing items. And Thursday, 12:34 a.m., a caller from 1000 block of Sutton Way reported a trespasser and 2 people following a woman who was hiding in the store. The person was cited on suspicion of possessing drug paraphernalia. And Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, 9:05 a.m., a caller from 17,000 block of Lawrence Way reported income tax return fraud. At 9:49 a.m., a caller reported a dog bite on Tribute Trail. At 10:07 a.m., a caller from Shelter Court reported a physical fight involving a man and a woman. He was throwing things at her and pulling her hair with a wooden sign. A "Be on the lookout" was issued. At 10:29 a.m., a caller at 10,000 block of Gold Flat Road reported mail theft. 10:42 a.m., a man at Red Dog Road reported a woman hit him in the face, so he left. A gun was taken for safekeeping. At 1:21 p.m., a woman from Hobby Way reported a woman was trying to harm her and came after her with burning paper and then a screwdriver. She then tried to hide the phone and tried to hit her with a rock. The "Be on the lookout" was issued. At 1:51 p.m., a caller from business 11,000 block of LeBar Meadow Road reported theft of multiple types of equipment. 2:08 p.m., a caller from Oakwood Circle reported 2 people fled from a residence, possibly in a burglary attempt. They had been chasing a cat. 3:13 p.m., a caller from Marmot Court reported a residential burglary. And 3:36 p.m., a caller requested a welfare check on 2 horses, one of which was very thin and the other in crisis. They could not be located. And 4:12 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Pleasant Valley Road reported a trespasser causing damage. And 4:47 p.m., a caller from 16,000 block of Fair Oaks Drive reported a man violated a restraining order and punched out the window of a vehicle before leaving again. And 5:23 p.m., a caller from Quail Lane reported an assault. A man was arrested on suspicion of violating probation. 5:50 p.m., a caller from Loma Rica Drive reported a suspicious man driving around, snooping through the airport. And 6:08 p.m., a caller from 23,000 block of Dark Horse Drive reported lug nuts were tampered with in a vehicle and a tire came off. And 6:10 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Comby Road reported an assault. And 6:33 p.m., a man from 11,000 block of Treetop Circle reported a burglary. 7:04 p.m., a caller from White Oak Way reported being attacked by a dog but did not need medical attention. And 7:12 p.m., a caller from Incline Shaft Road reported a girl throwing items. She was arrested on suspicion of assault. And 8:37 p.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Oak Circle reported a possible vegetation fire. And 8:47 p.m., a caller from Lodgepole Drive reported screaming and fighting. A woman was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. 9:11 p.m., a caller from Willow Valley Road reported gunshots. It was quiet when a deputy arrived. And Thursday, 2:09 a.m., a caller from Lodgepole Drive reported 3 juveniles causing mischief who fled from a security officer. At 3:17 a.m., a caller from Rattlesnake Road reported a prowler. And that's it for the blotter today. Now, no thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, GVPD Strategic Response Team sees results. And 2 arrested on meth sales charges. In its first 6 months, the Grass Valley Police Department's Strategic Response Team has seen some measurable progress by culling calls and complaints around homeless-related issues in the city, according to Sergeant Joe Mantione. The longer this program is in existence, the more positive results you'll get, he said. I'm happy with the work. It's been phenomenal. I'm looking forward to see how the next 6 months or a year goes and how much more these numbers will drop. Overseen by Mantione, the Strategic Response Team launched in July 2014 after law enforcement saw an increase in calls for service related to homeless issues. Mantione said the city's measure and funds bankrolled 4 new police officers, allowing the police department to create the response team. Serving as the program's sole enforcer, Officer Clint Lovelady began reaching out to the local homeless population while also meeting with local merchants and groups to gauge different methods of reducing offenses that range from theft, panhandling, property damage, and being drunk in public or under the influence of drugs. Mantione said the response team is based on a community policing model and seeking to reduce crime and improve the area's quality of life by giving low-level homeless offenders access to resources and services rather than putting them in jail. I'm expecting to work with groups in our community and come up with ideas and ways to problem solve, Lovelady said. I've been assigned as a liaison to the hospitality house So if there's issues, they contact me. If their clients are having issues on the street due to mental health issues, alcohol issues, drug issues, or just other clients are not getting along together, we work with them, we solve the issues, and we move on. Last week, Mattioni said, and Lovelady gave a presentation to the city council members highlighting the team's progress last year. Since its inception, Lovelady has responded to more than 700 calls for service, issuing 54 citations and conducting 58 arrests. Looks like a lot, it is, but what you don't see is how many people that he dealt with and helped get into a program, said Mattioni. How many people he helped get off the street. Mattioni said the department currently does not have a statistic on the number of individuals Lovelady helped, though they have created a list of the top 10 homeless offenders in the city. From July 2013 to July 2014, the 10 individuals tallied a total of 214 calls for service, averaging 21.4 complaints each to Grass Valley Police. While those same individuals racked up more than 130 calls for service in Lovelady's first 6 months, it was just over half the number of calls they tracked prior to 12 months. 9 out of 10 of the individuals had a decrease in calls for service of at least 50% or more, one even going from 23 calls for service from July to October 2014 to just 3 calls for service the remainder of the year. Those are impressive figures, Councilmember Jan Arbuckle said last week. I mean, that's phenomenal for 6 months in a brand new program in this small city. In addition to building relationships with the homeless population in local camps and neighborhoods, Lovelady said he has continuously visited homeless offenders in jail in hopes of convincing them to take advantage of social services. He's in constant contact with outreach groups like Hospitality House and the Turning Point Community Program, which provide services to the local homeless demographic. Lovelady described a meeting he held with local Mill Street merchants who have complained about the homeless offenders for years. There's around 5 businesses in that area near Safeway, and they're all having issues with panhandling, loitering, and theft. We talked about why all of these issues are happening. It is because the alcohol is being displayed right by the entrance and exit. What if we move the alcohol to the center of the store so the employees can watch the alcohol so they don't have opportunities to walk in and walk out? Lovelady added, is it because the Wi-Fi at your business and the people are sitting in the parking lot on the sidewalks and using the internet, so the passwords are locked off at certain times so people couldn't use them, and that helped decrease the loitering issues? Lovelady also got the Salvation Army in the shopping center to put up a fence to detract offenders from entering or leaving with stolen merchandise quickly. Electric outlets have been covered, and motion detectors lighting has been added to the plaza to discourage individuals from loitering overnight. Lovelady has also met with local property owners to get them to cut back brush on their properties to deter camps. Moving forward, Mattioni said the response team also looks to potentially shore up daily logistics and to get better and more efficient. Seems like they're doing a good job. Narcotics detectives conducting surveillance in Grass Valley apartment complex arrested 2 people on meth sales charges Wednesday afternoon after they reportedly drove up in a Lexus with plates belonging to a BMW. Members of the Nevada County Sheriff's Narcotics Task Force were at this complex, Sedgworth Way and Dorsey Drive, when they spotted the red Lexus, which they reportedly knew had the switched license plates. Traffic stop was conducted and the driver, identified as Eric Lewis Howard, was contacted. Howard, 29, reportedly told the detectives he did not have a valid driver's license, had never had one, was subsequently taken into custody, reportedly admitted to having approximately 10.5 grams of methamphetamine hidden in his groin area. A search of the Lexus reportedly uncovered 4 digital scales, one of which had meth residue, inside a backpack belonging to one of the passengers, identified as Raquel Marie Larimer, 29. Larimer reportedly had been sitting on 20 small plastic baggies and had a small coin purse with drug indicia and prescription medications. Howard was booked into county jail on suspicion of transportation and possession of controlled substance for sale and driving without a license, and was released on a $37,000 bail. Larimer was arrested on suspicion of possessing a controlled substance, possessing a controlled substance for sale, and possessing drug paraphernalia, and was booked and released on a $38,000 bail. Third person was released at the scene. And as you can tell by our pictures, we're not a big fan of the meth crowd. Alleged meth crowd.